everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Pink and Main, and we are creating 5 cards. I know you only see 4 there, but it's 5 cards from their Crafty Courtyard Subscription Box, and this one is for March 2020, and this month's theme is celebration. As you can hear, I'm grabbing for stuff here, but Pink and Main is celebrating. So yes, 6 years. 6 years for Pink and Main, and I think that is wonderful. And Pink and Main, Michelle, congratulations. This is absolutely wonderful. So let's take a look at what comes into the kit. For the month of March, you get your cardstock in a pink, an orange, a yellow, a teal, a purple, a half sheet of the glitter paper, and of course 2 white. You also get 4 envelopes. You get a pack of ribbon. You're also going to have a pack of enamel dots, both in circles and with hearts. You also going to get a pack of sequins. Now this is confetti sequins. A sheet of chipboard stickers that resemble the stamps, which I think is wonderful. Here is your paper pack, a 6x6 paper. It is double-sided, and again, it is called Celebrations. So you can see you've got some great prints on the one side, and then you've got some very textures on the other side of your pattern papers, whether it's checked, polka dot, plaid, stripes, or anything like that. So very universal on each of the sides of the paper, which is great. Very bright colors. The thing that I love about this kit is everything matches. Everything coordinates. All of the colors, the prints, the images, it all just truly comes together, which I think is absolutely wonderful. The images that I did color in this video were colored ahead of time, and I did that by using my Prismacolor colored pencils, my 36 count set. So just in case you're wondering, and in case I forget to tell you, you get this awesome embossing folder by Doris. You also have that frame die along with the banner, and then of course our beautiful stamp set with 4 great images. Add to my collection of pins, which I absolutely love, and then one of my favorite things as well is the bag that this all comes in. I use those bags for everything. So for our first card, I'm going to stamp the image of the hat, the party hat. And I'm actually going to stamp this twice. So I'm stamping this onto a piece of Nina solar cardstock. And I'm going to stamp one, and then I'm going to grab a piece of my masking paper and make sure I stamp that image onto that as well. I'm using my Gina K Amalgam Black ink. That is my favorite ink, whether I'm using my alcohol markers or I'm using my colored pencils. This is the ink that I do go for. I stamped my image, and now I will fussy cut that. So the image is extremely easy to fussy cut, only because the pieces that are sticking out, by all means, they will just get stamped, so you don't have to be too concerned about them. I'm going to, when I fussy cut, I do go right into, a little bit into the line, just to make sure that I don't have a halo going around my image when I do stamp. I wasn't quite sure where I was stamping, so I am actually cutting the entire image out. Usually I only take the side or cut the side that I need when I do my stamping for masks and so forth. So I'm going to set that in place, and then I'm going to set my image again. Now I will clean my image first, only because in case I place it wrong, I'll leave this mark and then I'll have to be stuck with it. So I'm going to stamp it again, so I'm going to have the double image that's going to be right in the front. Now, of course, I'm going to use my scissors to lift up the mask. But of course, at this time, I'm also going to put my sentiment down as well. I forget that because I'm taking everything out. I believe I go back and put everything back into my stamp positioning tool, just so that I can get that stamping out of the way. This is where I notice, why not let's just put the sentiment down? Yeah. We were just kind of all over the place. Yes. So the sentiment I chose is wear the party hat like a crown. And then once I have that stamped, I'm going to use the same ink, my Gina K Amalgam Black. Now this is not the Obsidian. This is just the regular Amalgam Black ink. I think it's a beautiful black. And it's a nice crisp image that I do get. And it is a dark color. It's the truest black ink that I like for my sentiments is the VersaFine Black. To me, that is the absolute truest black that's out there. But when it comes to the amalgam, it comes close to a second. So if that's what's out, that's what I can use. I pulled out my Stardust gel pen, and I'm filling in the little tiny pom-poms at the hat, or at the top of the hat. You can see, as I said, all of the coloring that I did offline was done with my Prismacolor colored pencils. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive first, but then I'm actually going to change my mind, and I'm going to use my double-sided foam tape. I forgot I was putting this down onto a piece of glitter cardstock. Whenever I do use glitter cardstock and I'm putting an item on top of that, I will 9 out of 10 use my foam squares or my foam tape. It's got a better adhesion because I can really push down onto it because of the foam. And I can make sure that these pieces are going to stick. Now, I will say with the scrapbook.com, it's got great adhesion. I mean, it's stuck there. I'm trying to sit here and pull it up like you all can see that. And it's not moving. And I did not add any glue to that. So, kudos. I'm then going to set that layer down onto my other piece of pattern paper and then onto my mat. So you're going to see a lot of matte layering for these cards as well because the colors were bright. They were festive. And I really wanted to set the frames for the pattern paper. I will set this all onto my standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is a top folding card. For our next card, I ran a piece of white cardstock in through the embossing folder, and I cut a section out. And then I just set it, I have all of these pieces. Now, when I do mats like this, I really don't use a die. I actually just took that white piece, laid it onto the orange, I cut around it, and then I take that and I laid that on top of the pink and I cut around that. And then the same thing with the yellow. So what I'm about to do here is take this yellow, put it on top of the purple, and you'll see this is how I get those mats. I'm okay if they're not perfect. Again, we are hand making cards. They are not perfect. It's okay. So I'm okay, I make sure I do use my long shears for this. I get a better cut. And then to me that looks fine. It's a small frame that just goes around it. Now, you can, if you've got dies, by all means, I encourage you to use your dies, but you don't need to use your dies if you're looking for a nesting property, so to speak. I'm going to set this right in the middle so that the candles underneath and the candles on the top are completely seen. This will become a side folding card because I did make it a landscape card base. I will add some sequins to this. So this one is very quick, but does have a lot of impact because of all of the colors and the matte that you created on the front, which again, creates that dimension. You don't need double-sided foam squares. If you just keep adding layers and layers and layers of paper, you create this illusion, but you also create that dimension. So for the next card, again, I'm going to have my pattern paper onto a mat. I'm going to have another piece of pattern paper onto another mat. I'm going to layer those together. I am going to add dimension in between those using my double-sided foam tape because I found it. Before I couldn't find it. That's why I went to the foam squares. And I'm going to set that onto my card base. Now, the ribbons. So you got 5 different ribbons. And again, I always try to make cards that use all of the contents, what comes in the kit. You know, just to show you how it works and everything else. So ribbons are always fun. But I think we can do a lot with the ribbons. So what I did was I made 5 bows. Now, I understand that they have a design, and one of the bows, the piece that crosses over, and the one tail, you don't see the design. It's okay. I'm sure there's a way to tie that bow to make sure that it all is shown. I'm sure there is. I like my bows. Bows and I do not get along. I'm surprised I was able to tie those 5 bows. But it's okay. It adds character. Now, if you like this idea and you want both sides to have that, to see the white dots, then by all means, tie your bow that way. Okay? But please, I'm fine with this. Again, to me, it adds character. But I think just adding the bows to the front is kind of cool. I was having fun with this one. Again, it can be any card. It can be a celebration card because I'm not going to add a sentiment to it. But it can be a celebration. It could be a thank you. It could be congratulations. It could be a birthday. So it can become any card that you're looking for that card to be. Okay, moving on. I had fun with that one. I'm just saying. I had a lot of fun with this kit. So I cut my frame. I die cut it. And I had also die cut some other ones because I was playing around with some papers and all of that. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to use these up. So I'm going to layer them underneath the yellow because I want the yellow to be on the top. I will use the Dorice foam strips to prop that frame up even higher. I'm going to take my pattern paper and I'm going to place that down onto my solid piece of cardstock because, again, that's going to create my frame. And then I'm going to set my yellow frame onto an angle onto this beautiful plaid. I absolutely love this plaid print. It's bright. It's beautiful. I love all the colors. It just definitely drew my eye to this. So I'm going to stamp my image. Now what I'm going to do with this image is I'm actually going to stamp it off the bottom and on an angle. Again, just when I do that, it just gives it some character. You know, I'm not trying to say, you know, hey, you don't have to have 90-degree angles. You know, look, if you're happy with having everything at a 90-degree angle, by all means, do that. I just think when we stamp on an angle or put something on an angle or something like that, it just gives it a little bit of character, gives it some interest. So that's what I wanted to do with this. Now, again, I did use my colored pencils. I did use my Prismacolors when I colored this image. Now, I'm using the sentiment, "It's Your Special Day." And I just had a lot of fun, again, using those bright colors that are already within the papers and everything else. I did try to stick with the same colors. So I did try to use the same pink. I just went a little bit lighter. And the same thing with the teal. And then I added in that lime green when it came to the bow. You can see I'm adding my Dorice foam strips to the side of this frame so that I can prop that up just a little bit more. I'm going to remove the release paper, and I'm going to set that on an angle. This I'm going to set right down in there using my liquid adhesive, but first I do want to come in with some broken china and just add, using one of my makeup brushes, just add a little bit of blue around to the edge along the sides and the top, just so that it has a little bit more color. I'm going to set that down into the center there. And then we are set. I'm just going to add a few sequins just to give it some more shimmer or shine. The pencil that I'm using is not a colored pencil for my sequins. It's actually a wax pencil. It's a pencil that is used for nail art and putting the gems on someone's nails. I love it. So I ran another piece of cardstock through the, put it into the embossing folder, ran it through my die cutting machine, and I'm going to use that as the background panel for some of my images. Again, I'm going to use a piece of pattern paper, and I'm going to frame that by a piece of the solid. But I'm going to take this embossed panel and put that onto my pattern paper, so that will be propped up. And then I will use my liquid adhesive to place this onto my teal solid cardstock. And then I grabbed a couple of the chipboard stickers. Again, I'm going to set this down on my standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's top folding. And I'm going to peel the backing, but for some reason, whenever I do this, I always peel too far. I go into, whoops. So we're going to peel the backing off. We're going to add a little bit of glue underneath that section there, just to make sure that sticks together. And I'm just going to put that into the center of my card. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing with the sentiment, and I'm going to have that sitting off to the right-hand side. And then we're just going to add some sequins throughout, just to make it a little brighter. So again, just the candles sitting there on top of the embossed panel. Again, it can be any type of celebration, but definitely a happy birthday celebration. So we're just going to place those throughout the card panel. So as always, when I do these multiple cards, I do want you to see each of the cards, and I do keep this into a regular speed so that you can see the close-ups of each of them. So I do hope you enjoy the 5 cards that we made from the Pink and Main subscription box for March. And again, the theme of it is celebrations. 6 years for them. Congratulations. It is wonderful, and I know you will have many more in the industry. As always, for all the products that I use will be listed down below in the video description. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave those down below as well, and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe, so make sure you hit that button. Make sure you ring the bell so that you know when the next video is live and ready for your viewing pleasure. And by all means, make sure you hit that thumbs up. I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope everyone is staying safe and feeling well. But remember, always remember what's most important to me, especially now. Get in those crafty spaces and always be creative.